How is life? Как проживаете? How is life? Okay. So Professor Semmingsen and I have looked at your English as a Global Language essays, and I've provided some commentary, some feedback. And we've also briefly discussed your grades. So I will post the grades after class today. So I just made the commentary today. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely have a look. They were very nice essays, I think. Professor Semmingsen, what were your thoughts on their essays?
I think they were very well structured. I liked the structure of everybody's essays. You really used good ideas. You started with a strong thesis and you really used those transition words in there, and we saw them kind of transform into pretty solid, well-structured essays. The comments I think that Professor Storm commented on and that I would agree with is just continuing to work maybe on the grammar points and maybe using more variety across essays. It's always, I think more variety is always better than kind of sticking to the same way of writing. So, but overall they were really good with great ideas.
Yeah, I think so too. And I see, I got a notification in my email that Marina had commented on. Marina, have you seen my comments to your essay?
No.
Oh, did you just post today's assignment? Is that what the notification was?
Just a moment. I'll see it just now.
Oh, I received a notification, so perhaps you didn't comment or see the comments that I wrote, but did you just post the homework assignment for today? Maybe that's what I received. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's all there. Have a look. And if you have questions about any of the comments that we've made or about the particular grade that you have been given, you can ask Professor Semmingsen and myself. You can ask us both. I personally would prefer, if you have questions about your grade or about our comments, that I would prefer if you wrote me in private on WebiLang, if you wrote me a private message on WebiLang and said, Carly, can you explain this to me, or explain why I got the grade that I did. But everyone did very well, so I don't know that it will be necessary. But if you want, you can write me on WebiLang. And Professor Semmingsen, how would you prefer that they contact you if they need to?
Do you use email? I mean, Professor Storm, do you all communicate with email, or is it better on a private message on WebiLang?
Oh, I don't usually communicate via email with everyone. I know Kostya sends out.
Right. Okay, let's do that. I'll do the same thing as you then.
Okay.
Blog, the private message.
Yeah.
That's probably best. Yeah.
So does anybody? Well, you might not have any questions about that now. You'll wait until after you see the grades, those sorts of things. So I guess we can go ahead and move on. The task for this week was to discuss your future essay. Maybe what is it? What are the main points you hope to make, if you know them, and perhaps why you chose this topic. And yeah, oh, the audience, that was right. Audience. For whom are you writing? What style will you use? And why? All right. Maybe we'll start with you, Olya. Start at the bottom of our name list.
Okay. My next essay will be about the factors which determine the salary of an employee. The audience consists of two groups of people. First of all, it's employed people who get salary for their job, their work, and the second part of audience is people with specialized knowledge in labor economics and compensation management. What else?
Can you give us an idea about what sort of factors go into, or what sort of factors determine an employee's salary?
There are many factors, actually. Some of them are well known, such as education, work experience, qualification, and others. And there are some factors which influence is not so obvious. Sometimes for companies it is more simple to pay a higher salary than to solve their problems in recruitment or adaptation or training of personnel.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay. Factors that go into determining an employee's salary, factors that are well known, factors that are lesser known. And is this something that you've done research on in the past, Olga?
I've read a lot of literature articles about this topic.
Yeah, and the reason I asked is because I'm trying to remember your. Are you an economist? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. And is this, for example, is this the field or the question that you find most interesting or that you work with on a daily basis?
Yes, I work on it.
Great. Yeah. So this is very Olga. This is very Olga's interest. We want to understand what you're interested in researching. Okay.
Oh. Hear a dog.
Guys, can I ask that if there's a lot of noise, or if you're going to be, or if you're going to be doing a lot of typing in the background, please mute your microphone. If you are not speaking and if you are typing or if there is much background noise, please mute your microphone because it's difficult for us to hear sometimes. Since I can't mute your microphones myself, I don't have that sort of tool on here. I think Kostya does that. Okay, thank you, Olga. Marina or Dimitri, do you have any questions for Olga, or do you know of any sources she might use?
I have enough information. It's a rather difficult topic for me. I'm a linguist, not an economist.
Yeah, me too. But it seems interesting, definitely. Dimitri, do you have any questions or comments or suggestions for Olya?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
I have one question. I'm really interested in this last idea about offering high salaries to employees to compensate, like recruiting. And I'd love to know examples of that. And then I don't know if there's room in your essay, but I'd love to know what you think of that. Like, is that a good idea? Is that something that's typical, or is that unusual?
Sometimes Russian companies use this practice.
Okay, that makes me wonder if it's different in different countries. But are you just focusing on your own area, or is it more of a global idea?
My research is connected with the Russian Federation.
Okay, you might state that early in your essay.
Okay.
Yes, context is important here. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
So yeah, you might just add that.
Perfect. Got it. That was a good comment. Thank you, Professor Simonson. All right, Marina?
About my topic of the future essay, yes? I have chosen the following topic, metaphorical modeling of the image. Now I study metaphorical modeling of image of geographical, in particular, tourist destinations. In my new essay, I would like to review the main approaches to metaphor as the most important instrument of interpretation of reality. First of all, I'm interested in the modern interpretation of a metaphor as verbal and at the same time visual phenomenon, and in the consideration of metaphor as image-making resource.
Okay. Metaphorical modeling of the image.
Modeling of the image, yes, instrument of interpretation of reality, image-making resource, verbal and visual instrument at the same time.
Can you give us an example, a concrete example of a metaphor as it's verbal, visual, and image making?
Now I study the mass media text in Russian and in English and try to find metaphor which connected with Siberia as a geographical object, and I try to understand how English speaking and Russian what kind of image in consciousness of English speaking and Russian Siberia exists.
Okay. Use metaphors to understand.
It's very difficult to explain in English.
Yeah,
this topic.
I'm sure. I think well, it's definitely a very, very academic
I think
subject.
that my auditory is a specialist in linguistics and in image making.
Specialist in image making. That's really interesting. So are you looking specifically at just metaphors connected with Siberia, or is that just one example that you explore? Or will you look at many? On different themes, I mean, or just the theme of Siberia.
Just a moment, I'll try to find some examples.
Okay.
In English.
Okay. That's really interesting. While Marina is looking for this, please think of any questions you might have for her or possible sources.
Marina,
Да.
why your interest is in the metaphor sphere? Not only metaphor is предмет, средство, subject of modeling the image.
I think that metaphor as image making resource is very important resource because it's very interesting cognitive instrument which allow to make желаемый. Wish желать, желаемый.
Oh, desired?
Desired.
Desired image in consciousness of our auditory.
Yeah, of your audience. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm just curious to see how this is going to play out, and your presentation on this subject at the end of the semester will be really helpful, I think, as well. Were you going to say something else, Marina? I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
I'll try to find examples. Just a moment.
Or it's okay. We'll hear more about it in the future. Or you can perhaps find the examples and maybe put them in the chat, just so that we can, use our time and we won't wait or anything. But in the chat, and then we can come back to it later if we need to. So, Larissa, can we move on to yours?
The new theories of word meaning. Psycholinguistic approach. I think that audience of this essay may be educated people, specialists, linguists, and teachers. But this essay will be useful for those who are interested in word meaning and the natural semiosis, multi-understanding in monolingual as well as in bilingual and multilingual situation. It is a very interesting theme, and it is a very discussion sphere in modern linguistics and modern psycholinguistics. I will use description and compile writing styles to achieve my goal in my essay. The essay will consider some position about word meaning problem, modern theories of meaning as a living knowledge, theory of natural semiosis, and the interfacial theory. Interfacial theory is the most modern theory of meaning today, and it is very interesting theory of meaning. These theories are significantly different from traditional knowledge of meaning, traditional theories of meaning, in which the meaning model appears as flat shapes, triangle and trapezoid. But today the modern theories of meaning to model meaning as a model meaning as a dynamic system, live dynamic system, and the new theories of word meaning are grounded by a long story of theoretical considerations and experimental research by some Russian and Russian scientists, and in general Alexandra Zalevskaya and Hua, students and my colleagues and my the research of Zalewskaya was aimed at revealing and explaining the peculiarities of word meaning as personal knowledge, and this theory can show as meaning lives in individual consciousness, and the theory based on some different types of experiments, psycholinguistic and psycholinguistic experiments. It's very interesting theory, and the theory continued theory of dynamic of meaning as a dynamic system. Саморазвивающийся, не знаю, what is in English?
Self-developing, self-developing.
Self-developing system. And I'm going to show the differences of classical theories and modern theories of meaning, and I'll try to speak about it simple language, and to show that this difficult problem maybe about this difficult problem, можно говорить, this difficult problem
in a way that's
general way.
Say, okay, you're going to speak about a difficult problem in a way that is accessible.
I understand. And this some part of this research, and every part of this research is very interesting. For example, how mental lexicon as a functional dynamic self-organizing system life and of mind, and how language consciousness life and mind, and how multilingual and bilingual and monolingual person form his consciousness, language consciousness, and other problems, and what is the experimental and another linguistics and psycholinguistic method to understand these lives, and to show these lives some people, for specialists or not specialists. For example, it's very important for teaching because to understand how mind live in the individual consciousness, to know and to understand how mind live in individual consciousness, maybe help to teach. To teach lexicon, real lexicon, language lexicon.
Yeah, that seems okay. I'm curious to see what it will be like when you use simpler speech to explain it. That would be interesting. Definitely useful for me at least. But again, you have the choice of choosing your audience, so you can write for whichever audience you would like. Obviously. My question is about the nature of the problem at hand. Is it sort of, I wondered here, I wrote this, when personal knowledge or personal level of consciousness, when does it have an impact upon general intelligibility, for example? Are there meanings that are universal versus what happens when meanings are different in different contexts, and then that impedes intelligibility, understandability, intelligibility. Yeah, but I'm sure that, so is that something you were going to look at in your paper? I know actually it's not even a paper, it's a shortish essay, right? So sometimes it's difficult to say everything you want to say in this length of an essay. But is that a problem that you will address?
This problem I will address for these people who want to understand this problem, and for specialists.
Perfect.
Linguists, especially in linguistics.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. It's very, very thorough for sure. It seems really interesting. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Larissa before we move on? Anything? Olya?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sure. Professor Samuelson, sure.
Well, is this? I'm going to type it in the chat window. Actually, let me see. Can I type on the whiteboard?
You should be able to, I think.
Yeah. Oops. Did it delete everything?
Nope. I see thesis in pink.
Okay. I think it created a new whiteboard. I'm just going to type it in the chat window.
Thesis? No, it is not my thesis.
Is your thesis?
No.
This statement right here. That was my point of confusion. Or is that just part of your essay about showing differences of classical and contemporary theories?
It is not the theme of my thesis. I have another theme of my thesis. But близкое. But this theme is connected to each other.
Okay.
Close to.
Okay, you might in your essay show how they are related ideas.
Yeah. Any other questions for Larissa or comments?
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Thank you.
Olya or Marina, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Okay. Dimitri, I wrote you in the chat. Are you going to write an essay, or are you going to sit this one out?
Yes. I'd like to write an article about irrationality of economic behavior. In the article, I'm going to discuss different aspects of irrationality, such as decision illusions, defaults of choice sets, and relativity of our preference and decisions. Although I'd like to observe different theoretical approaches which try to explain nature of irrationality and try to build models of irrational behavior, such as prospect theory and unexpected utility theory. In the article will be describe the basic forms of irrationality, like dishonesty, model operational crime, and mental accounting problem. Actually, the topic is very close to my dissertation, but I'm going to make it more psychological than my dissertation was, and it's very interesting for me because it seems to me as a logical continuation of my research. My audience are students, researchers, and maybe a little part of general audience who are interested in applied psychology.
Okay.
Maybe that's all.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just taking notes here. Okay, great. So, in a nutshell, are you going to be writing about why people act irrationally?
Yes, it's a main problem of contemporary economics
and politics.
Yes, of course. And it's very difficult and it's a very complex question. There are a lot of contemporary theories about it.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. So you're going to be looking at decision-making, choice, and preference,
Yes.
different theoretical approaches and models. Are you going to mention rational choice?
Yes, rational choice, it's only one model. It's a very basic model, but there are a lot of different approaches to the choice. And I'm going to describe another approaches.
Okay, that sounds really, really interesting, definitely. Do we have any comments or questions for Dimitri? Maybe Olga, do you have any, since you're a fellow?
No, I don't.
Marina or Larissa?
Dmitry, what is the economic behavior?
The economic behavior, it's our actions which we may make when we make decisions in the economic sphere, such as in buying something or making decisions about professional choice, maybe.
Very interesting.
Everything which is connected with utility for us or something.
Ooh, or investing. That could be really interesting.
And investing, yes, it's a kind of economic behavior.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm really interested to see what you're going to write. Anyone else? Marina or Professor Svensson, anything?
No, I liked Larissa's question. What is economic behavior? Oh, she stepped away. But just the idea that you're defining what it is up front for the rest of us. Oh, Larissa, I was just saying I liked your question because I was wondering the same thing. Like I have a fuzzy idea, I have a vague idea of what economic behavior is, but defining it would be great for the rest of us.
That sounds really great. I'm definitely looking forward to reading all of your essays. And again, as always, I encourage you to write a little bit every week. Post something every week, because if you want detailed feedback from us, that's the only way to do it, because it really does take time, for sure. And that way, perhaps your classmates can read it as well. But most importantly, so that we can give you detailed feedback. Great. I think that's really good. We spent a good amount of time on that. Everyone had a great deal to say, so that's actually very good use of our time. And now, in terms of, we're going to do some activities thinking about going back to audience and what type of language we use in writing for each audience. So what we're going to do is I've chosen 3 texts all about some aspect of evolution, and we're going to decide the audience, for whom the author is writing, and we're going to find out what are the key words, what are the clues that tell us what this audience is. You might need to make this text smaller. Does everyone see evolution text 1? Okay, so we're going to take turns reading paragraphs together, and as you are reading, please underline words, for example, that you think are clues or are evidence of the language being used for a particular audience. If you think, okay, this is for specialists, or this is for children, or this is for lay people, then this is a key word. For example, this is an example showing for whom we're writing. So I'm going to delete these other little marks that I've made. And let's go, we're going to alternate from the top of the list. So we'll begin with Dimitri, and everyone will read 1 paragraph. So Dimitri, please begin.
May I start?
Yes.
The idea of evolution is a simple one. Things change. Right now we are just talking about the word, not the philosophical idea. The process of cars changing over the past 100 years can be thought as an evolution in engineering. When an organism changes over many generations, it might be better suited to life or more likely to die. To describe what happens, scientists have a few terms.
Perfect, thank you. And now we'll go to Larissa, natural selection.
I'm starting. We were just talking about that. Sometimes you've got a skill that helps you survive. Sometimes you don't. If you were a 500-pound bird with little tiny wings and little tiny legs, changes you would move around too well. One day you might run out of food and die. Oh well, you were just selected for extinction.
Thank you. Oh well, you might run out of food and die. Oh well. Marina, convergent evolution.
Convergent evolution. This is when two totally different species develop similar traits. They have come up with the same solution to a problem, but from different directions. It's not a conscious choice to develop an eye or a way of hearing. Outside natural factors create a situation where that skill is a benefit. For example,
sorry, Marina. Let's go on to Olga.
For example, you are a plant and I am an animal. We both have animals hunting us and eating us. We need protection. So we both develop spines to poke the hunters. The spines are made in different ways but do the same job. You are a cactus and I am a porcupine.
Porcupine. It's like a yoj, but it's bigger, like a big yoj. I don't know what that's called.
Yes.
I don't know that word. Dimitri?
Divergent evolution. This is when your development starts and one place and splits in different directions. We start as the same species, but then as more generations develop, my group becomes good at one thing and yours at another.
Great. Larissa?
Birds' beaks are a good example for this one. One species of bird can develop in different directions depending on what type of food it eats. Their beaks develop different shapes after many generations. Charles Darwin used bird development in many of his scientific papers.
Okay.
Coevolution. This is when two different species change and evolve over time together. They are usually dependent on each other for survival. Flowers and insects are good examples of this type of coevolution.
Olga?
If you have seen really fancy orchids, they often depend on a single species of bug to help them reproduce. As one species changes, the other will make mirror changes so that we continue to survive.
Okay, now I'd like to hear from everybody. What is your prediction or what is your opinion? For whom is the author writing? What age?
For general people.
Okay, Larissa thinks general people.
General people.
I think it's for school people.
Maybe for school people.
For students in secondary school, maybe.
Secondary school. In secondary school, you mean, for example, high school?
Yes.
For example, high school. Okay. Students. Marina, did you also agree high school students or elementary age students? What age group of students?
Elementary, I think.
Elementary, okay. Elementary, high school. Olga, what do you think?
For example, you are a plant and I am an animal. It's for
For children,
Elementary school. It's for children.
maybe
I mean
middle
for
school.
students
Maybe
who
middle
are
school.
11 or 12 years old.
Yeah, this is interesting. So now you have to point to the words. What words prove your point?
Mm-hmm.
To the underline. Oh, highlight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, underline, highlight somehow. Who is blue?
It's me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost written like they're talking, like
Mhm.
they're speaking to somebody.
Mhm. And who is red?
It's me.
Marina. Okay. Good. You're doing a good job picking it out.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a few more seconds and find what else.
Mm-hmm.
See what else you can find. I see Dimitri is underlining use of the pronoun you. That's usually an indicator that something is a little bit less scientific.
Yes.
So we know that it's
Mm-hmm.
not for specialists. We know it's not for specialists. Dimitri, how do we know it's not for specialists?
Mm-hmm.
How do we know it's not for specialists? That was for you, Dimitri.
This question, I missed the question. Sorry.
How do we know that this is absolutely not for specialists?
A lot of words like you, we, this article consists of only explanation, not of scientific facts. There are no terms, special terms in this article. A lot of very simple examples.
Exactly. Very
And
simple.
simple structure of sentences.
Yes.
You're exactly right. Marina, anything else you noticed?
No, I agree with my colleague.
Me too.
Olga, do you have anything else to add?
No, I also agree.
Yeah. So we don't see a lot of complicated terminology here. The most complicated terminology we see is natural selection, convergent evolution, divergent evolution, coevolution, and so on. And those aren't very technical. They're not very complicated, right? And then just like Dimitri mentioned, we have a lot of really simple examples. You're a cactus, I'm a porcupine. You're a plant and I'm an animal. Or uses of exactly, oh, well, you were just selected for.
Oh, well.
This is very informal. This is something that you would say in speech. It's something you would say exactly, just verbally, right? Again, very simple examples. If you were a 500-pound bird, another use of language here, little tiny wings and little tiny legs. That sounds like you're talking to a younger audience. In terms of the age group of this audience, I would say this is up for debate. It seems as though this is too simple for high schoolers. You would hope. One would hope this is too simple for high schoolers.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but perhaps students who are in elementary school but they are older, maybe? What do you think, Professor Semmingsen? What's your prediction?
When in my field of literacy, we have something called readability, and it's based on vocabulary, and I'm looking at words like engineering. So I'm actually looking at the word level of evolution, engineering. Those are pretty technical. I would say middle school.
Middle school?
Maybe 6th grade.
Yeah.
I was at, early adolescence.
Yeah, so 6th grade students are typically, what, 11 years old?
Yeah, 11, 12.
Yeah, so we could say this would be for 6th graders, or at least in my context, like where I went to school, middle school was 7th grade and 8th grade, and then high school was 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So to me, this is too simple for high school, but Professor Semmingsen and I think, okay, 6th grade, or just beginning middle school, perhaps it's suitable. And this sounds right. I found this on a website that was titled Evolution for Kids.
Oh,
Evolution for Kids.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So you all were you were on the money. You were exactly right with your observations here. Perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. That was really great.
I don't think they would share this passage in Texas.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
actually,
Texas.
I know. Yeah, actually, one of the reasons I chose this text is in some of the other classes we're talking about creationism versus evolution.
Oh, interesting.
So it's just I have it on my mind right now, and it
Yeah.
seems like something that's something that you would find information on pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very difficult to find different texts on evolution for different audiences. So now let's have a look at text 2.
Evolution text 2. Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm trying to think how I want to divide this. I'm going to mark these so that we all read a decent amount. Okay, this is the first stopper, this green. That's where the first person stops. The second person is going to stop here. And, well, that doesn't break it down very easily, does it? No. First person got too much. Let's go. Well, there's not much I can do about that. We're just. We'll start at We'll start at the. We'll go here. Olya, let's start with you first.
Many of the marks that evolutionary history has left on our bodies are invisible. Lactose tolerance, predisposition towards diabetes, genes that contribute to breast cancer, and many other inconspicuous traits are legacies of the past that our ancestors took as they left or stayed in Africa between 60 and 125,000 years ago.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Olga. Marina?
However, other markers of these unique evolutionary histories are perfectly obvious, perhaps most notably skin color. It's clear that people whose ancestors hail from different parts of the earth have differently colored skin, and that this is related to how much of the sun's radiation hits that part of the planet.
Great. And Larissa?
The less radiation, the lighter the native population skin color tends to be. This is a great example of recent evolution in human populations.
And Dmitry?
But what if we go back deeper in our evolutionary history, back to when all of humanity lived in Africa? At the time, all humans had darkly pigmented skin, and new studies shed light on how and why this skin pigmentation evolved.
Great. Okay, so now let's underline words. Actually, you can all tell me first. For whom is the author writing? What do you think?
Nobody's invisible.
Olga, what do you think? Who do you think the audience is?
I think the specialists
You think specialists?
in history or in biology.
Specialists in history and biology. Okay, and why do you think that? Olga, why do you think that?
This text is much more formal than the previous. The sentences are much longer. The words are more complicated.
Okay, so there's one prediction. I'm not going to say yet whether it's right or wrong. Marina, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it's for students.
Mm-hmm.
For students, okay, and why?
In high school, I think.
In high school.
May I
High
say?
school students. Sure, sure.
I'm not sure that this paper is for students for in universities because it is not scientific enough. There are a lot of words and phrases which are not scientific, like it's clear. I know that it's not acceptable to use in scientific paper, and phrase like "but what if we go back?" I think it's for students in high school.
Larissa, what do you think?
I think so, as Dimitrios, for not scientific people, but for the student, and it may be student in biology department.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
But in the field of we have a specific предмет, в смысле, subject in our high school. It named концепция современного языкознания.
Conceptions
Ой, современного естествознания. Excuse me, please.
Like an overview, like an introduction.
Contemporary linguistics, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I will tell you. Now that I've heard everyone's thoughts here, I will tell you where I got this. There's sort of an information bank on the Berkeley, a university's website, evolution.berkeley.edu. So, but this is sort of, as I said, an information bank. So I would agree that it's not for specialists. I would agree with those of you who said this is not for specialists. We have some words here that, for example, Dimitri, I wanted to say, I don't entirely agree that it's inappropriate to use "it's clear that something." It can be. It depends on the context. It really depends on the context. But if the sentence is going to be, if you're going to use "it is clear that something," then usually you need to have a more complicated sentence structure because you need to make your point of specifically why it's clear. So perhaps that's a gray area where it could be okay, or it could very easily not be okay. So that's sort of 50-50, as they say. It depends on the context.
Harley, I have a question. Do you use the same word for those who study at school and at the university student? Yes?
You can use students, but we like to specify high school students or university.
Pupil not, yes?
Pupil is just for elementary school.
Pupil in elementary school, student at high school, at the university.
Yes, but you know, you can just as easily say elementary students. In fact, that's probably more common.
Elementary students, it's okay?
Yeah,
elementary students,
high school students, university students. It's just good to specify. So we know that definitely this is not for elementary students. Why do we know that?
Thank you.
Yeah, why is this not for elementary age students? Why? What are some words?
This text have some terms and like, construction, word construction, specific word construction.
Yep, exactly.
Scientist, and the text have specific information. This information not for pupil.
Yeah, for young pupils. Yeah.
People.
We know lactose intolerance or lactose tolerance is one of those. Predisposition, diabetes, genes, sometimes breast cancer. Inconspicuous trait,
Mhm.
legacy. There are many of these here, yet we know that it's not for a very formal audience because of the fact that, for example, where is this? Here, if you can see my arrow. But what if we go back deeper in our evolutionary history? What is wrong about this sentence? Marina, what is wrong about this sentence?
But what if we go back deeper in our evolutionary?
It's got a mistake that I recently corrected in some of your writing, as well as a lot of people's writing.
It's like a question.
The sentence is begun with a conjunction.
Question.
You should never, in formal writing or in formal speech, you should never begin a sentence with a word like but and so then, or not then, but things like that. You should not begin sentences with these words. It's acceptable in informal English.
Is it possible in the text for young people?
If it were me, I would say no, because in my opinion, if anything is going to be printed for educational purposes to teach students what is acceptable writing and what is not, I would prefer not to see sentences that begin with conjunctions. This is something that, again, if we're reading a newspaper article or something that's for a general audience, then that's okay. It's for a general audience. But if it's something that's specified for use in schools, I would prefer that it's not. Professor Semmingsen can maybe say a little bit more about this.
About
whether or not we should begin sentences with conjunctions, for example, like in school textbooks, even for elementary age.
So.
Yeah,
I think it's a big no.
Yeah, but you're teaching them bad form from the very beginning. We certainly don't want to do that. We want to get off on the right foot, right? Another word here was radiation or pigmentation, pigmented, these sorts of things. So we know it's not for a very young audience. We know it's not for specialists, so this could mean it falls right in the middle for a general audience. And who is your general audience? What do you think the age range is for a general audience, or is there an age range? If you think of the very average American, if we're talking specifically in numbers, he or she definitely has a he or she would have a high school education as well as some college. But in speaking of the highest percentage of Americans, and even though higher and higher numbers, more and more people are completing universities and getting higher degrees, still for now, the average American has some college but not a degree. So we could think of that as being our general audience, or as we mentioned before, people who aren't specialists. Perhaps they have a higher degree, but their degree is in, I don't know, it's not in biology. It's not in any sort of branch of science, right? Maybe he or she has their doctorate in English, in the English language, and they would read this, and then they would notice, okay, this is really clear, but they shouldn't have begun the sentence with the word but. that would be something that an English major would notice, for example. Okay.
Can I add something?
Definitely, please.
I think you're totally right on with that. It looks like, just from clicking on the website, it says Undergraduate Teachers Lounge. So I'm thinking it's for pre-service teachers, people training to be teachers who, it's hard to be a teacher. It's hard to be a K through 12 teacher because you have to know a little bit about a lot. And so it's probably that sort of audience.
Yeah, so I mean, we could say this would be, I don't know what your thoughts are, Professor Semmingsen. When I was reading this, I was thinking upper level high school to undergraduate to absolute layperson.
Yeah, freshman, sophomore, like introductory material.
Yeah,
to mine. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And now let's have a look at text 3.
Evaluation 3.
And I'm going to divide this first paragraph so that everyone has a chance to read. Here is the first stop. And Dimitri, you can begin.
There is a widespread agreement among philosophers of science that adherence to methodological naturalism is one of the features that distinguishes science from non-science. If your explanation of the natural world allows miracles or supernatural beings, then it may or may not be correct, but it isn't science.
Next, Larissa.
This naturalistic view of science is strongly opposed by some Christians, notably the Berkeley Law professor Philip Johnson. He argues that the world needs to develop a Christian approach to science that isn't restricted by methodological naturalism. Johnson's viewpoint is shared by a few religious philosophers such as Alvin Plantinga. There are many revolution science philosophers and lay people who disagree with the likes of Johnson and Plantinga. They do not advocate a change in definition of science. Instead, they seek ways to minimize the conflict between science and religion without rejecting the materialistic basis of science.
Okay, we'll stop there. Sorry, I think I let you continue a little bit too long there. Okay, Marina?
In order to understand the point of view of these compatibilists, it's important to distinguish between methodological naturalism and metaphysical naturalism. Methodological naturalism is what scientists have to practice in order to do good science. The practice of methodological.
Okay, sorry, let's stop there. Let's make sure Olga has something to read. I'm sorry, Olga, you got the short end of the stick, as they say.
The practice of methodological naturalism does not necessarily lead to the total rejection of supernatural beings. That's metaphysical naturalism. It's not the same thing.
So it should be pretty clear here what the audience is or who the audience is.
Yes, I think it's available for undergraduate students.
Sorry.
Methodological naturalism.
Can you say that again?
Miracle.
I think it fits well for undergraduate students. Maybe we should not major in philosophy, but it's complicated enough.
Yeah, perhaps. It depends on the context, right? If we have more context where we know a little bit about what metaphysical naturalism is, for example, if the students have this background, then it could be for a student. I would definitely say not an introductory student. It's not someone who's just beginning in philosophy. It's not somebody who's just starting out. This is somebody who has a basis. It could be of interest to specialists as well. I think, yeah. And I found this article online. It's called Theistic Evolution, the Fallacy of the Middle Ground by Lawrence Moran. So I would say your predictions were right. Definitely reading this, when I see metaphysical naturalism, it's not within my my realm of study, for example. So to me, it isn't for a general audience, because I read this and I don't have any knowledge necessarily, or not much knowledge of metaphysical naturalism. So it's not easily understandable. Without context, we would need more context. So any other markers here? Any more comments about this? It's pretty clear, I think. And also, texts for specialists tend to cite other specialists. So we...
Is it okay to use phrases like there are many scientists who disagree in a scientific paper? because when I ask when I write this phrase in my paper, I don't show. I don't describe the position of this many scientists.
Yeah, that's
okay or not?
That's a really good question. I say to be safe, you can say this, but you need to have, for example, a footnote or a note at the end of the text. Perhaps you could have that really small number 1 or a star there. That's somewhere that the reader can look and say. It could say, for example, C. Smith, Johnson, and somebody else, some other typical last name. Or for similar arguments, C, author X, author Y, author Z. So you can do that. If you have concrete examples in mind, if you can at least give a couple of examples to support this, then you can. Yeah. Or instead of having a footnote, if you want, you can put in parentheses after Johnson and Plantinga. You can have parentheses, and you can say C, for example, X, Y, Z. Yes. Then in that case, you can. Or you could say instead, scholars like X, Y, and Z disagree with the likes of Johnson and Plantinga alongside other philosophers and lay people. It's not uncommon to do something like that. So hopefully that answers your question. It's just better to be safe, because that's something that if someone's editing your text, they'll say, wait, who are these many scientists, philosophers, and lay people? How do you know? So it's better just to be safe. Yeah. Professor Semmingsen, any other comments on that?
No, I totally agree with what you just said about who you're referring to when you make claims.
Cool. Now I have sort of a fun activity for you all that is going to be a bit of role play to get some conversation going as well. And I need to upload a picture here. Remember last time we wrote essays, paragraph-long essays about something about water, right? We did. And oh, where did it go? Why does this always happen to me? Well, whatever. I'll find.
Women? Oh no.
No, I'm trying to find. I had a picture of bottled water.
Oh.
Okay, I'm just going to draw a picture of bottled water on the whiteboard. I don't care, and you can witness how bad this is. Okay.
You try to find one.
That's okay. I'll wing it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. It's going to be a red bottle. Come on, mouse, don't fail me now. Everyone, you are going to be given a product. It is bottled water. Very odd looking bottle of water. And you can choose whatever name that you like for this product. But I'm going to give each of you a different audience. And you need to market this product. You need to sell it to us. Dimitri, your target market for this bottled water is a group of bikers, as in men who like to ride motorcycles. Love it. Men who like to ride motorcycles. So you can think about this, write down your ideas, and then we will be the audience when we're all ready. Larissa, your market is for stay-at-home mothers. Marina, your market is, let me think, politicians. Politicians. And Olga, your market, who should your market be? Your market is teenagers who prefer to drink energy drinks.
Oh, that's realistic. Yeah.
I'm going to take just 1 minute. Think about it for just 1 minute. You have to think about how I'm going to sell this water to people. And Professor Semmingsen, should we take one too? Maybe you can give me an audience and I'll give you one.
Okay. One that popped in my head was environmentalist, but that might be too hard.
Environmentalist. I'll try.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm just going to say Alaskans because one would assume that they've got plenty. No, I'm not going to say that. No, what am I going to say?
Oh yeah, our drinking water was not so good. We got our drinking water from the creek.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from the fire station.
Yeah. Let's say farmers. I'm going to give you farmers.
Okay, good.
Because they might turn up their nose at that hoity-toity fancy stuff.
Okay, yeah, right. They're down to earth. Okay, so are we writing something like a pitch or like a?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take notes for myself, and then we're gonna give a pitch. So we've got 60 seconds, everyone. 60 seconds.
Okay, just a few key ideas, and then we'll share.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, let's say 30 seconds. All right. Is everyone more or less ready?
Sure.
Okay. Should we begin with Dimitri? We're going to sell it to the bikers. So now we are all now an audience of bikers. And then at the end of his sales pitch, we have to say, yes, I'll buy it, or no, I won't. Okay. Give us your pitch. Try to impress us. We're ready. Are you gonna go, Dimitri? Don't make me intimidate you further. Okay, so how are you going to sell it to us?
It's pretty difficult for me to name the bottle of water for bikers because I'm not familiar enough with the culture of bikers. But I suppose they like things which are technological, which are simple and I try to simplify the brand name.
Okay.
To make it easier to understand, to remember, and to make an analogy with gas, things they used to use.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, fuel.
Mhm.
Yeah, fuel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will fill you up. It will fuel you.
Okay. So what specifically were you going to say? This is I'm trying to draw a skull and crossbones. Not working.
Oh,
Well-
that's pretty good.
We can call it water for badasses. Example.
I love it. Yeah, kind of macho comes to mind.
Yeah. This isn't your typical bottled water. It looks cool. You don't have to be ashamed to carry it around with you on your Harley. Other people might think it's poison, but you know it's just water, so take a swig as you're riding on your motorcycle or something. Anything else, Dimitri?
Maybe it's a good idea to name this water like your fuel, maybe.
Uh-huh.
It's a good analogy with a bike.
Uh-huh. Yep, calling it your fuel. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think maybe that was Professor Semmingson wrote, you could try to market it to them saying it's great for long road trips.
Yes.
Yeah, long trips on your bike. It'll fuel you up for the road. Yeah. Very good. So, are we going to buy it?
Sure.
Sure. Marina, are you going to buy it? Marina, would you buy it?
Yes, of course.
Larissa? Larissa?
No, no.
Larissa's not going to buy it.
I'm driver.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I have to think about that. We'll see. I might buy it. Okay, let's go on to Larissa.
On the opinion of Mother, the bottle of water is the simple subject. But is it really simple? Water, on one hand, water is necessary for all family members. Drinking more water is necessary for children to grow and develop. Mothers know that only clean water is needed for children, but there is another side of it. The more water used by our family is the more money we spend on it.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Good point.
The end. I don't know what
Yeah, many.
to say.
Yeah, that was really good, though. Yeah, mothers know best. Mothers know what's good for their children. You could also market it specifically to the mothers, saying, "Take care of yourself. Take some time to take care of yourself, your own health. You do so much for everyone else. Why not indulge and take care of yourself?" Something like that. Okay, do we buy it?
Yeah.
Yes. I'll buy it. That sounds good. All right, Marina?
It's very difficult task for me and for Dmitry because I am not politician. So I have made name for patriotic politician.
Okay.
Excellent.
I think it may be native aqua, native water, or native land.
Yeah, Awawada.
Hmm.
Try to draw a flag on
I
there.
think they must be happy
Yeah.
drinking this water.
Okay. Okay, so
People, save our water. Let's save our water. It's political.
It's great logo for my water.
yeah. Sounds good. Okay, what do we think? Are we going to buy it?
Yeah.
I'll be a patriot. I'll buy it. Yeah, support your country, buy this water. Support your country, be a patriot, buy this water.
Yeah.
Okay. Olga?
Drinking bottled water has many advantages in comparison with drinking energy drinks. For example, first of all, water is much more cheaper than energy drinks. So what is important for teenagers who have only pocket money and don't have their own income. Then many teenagers, especially girls, are concerned about their health. So water has no calories and energy drinks are high calories.
There you go. So you could specifically try to market it to teen girls, for example. If you want to do that, you could put a picture of Justin Bieber on there, maybe. So that might work. Little hearts and I love Bieber. I have Bieber fever. Something like that. Yeah, good. Okay, if I were a teen and I were a teenage girl, I'd say yes. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll buy it. You're right. It's better for my health. I won't consume as many calories. I won't consume any calories drinking water. Those energy drinks have so many calories in them. What about everybody else? Would you buy it?
For sure, yes. I drink too much coffee.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Great. Okay.
I'm coffee mom.
Me too. Me too. Okay, now let's hear. We'll do Professor Semmingsen and mine, and then we'll be done for the day.
Okay.
Sell it to us, Professor Semmingsen.
Oh, okay, farmers. Okay,
farmers.
All right, farmers. Have you thought about reasons to drink bottled water instead of tap water? In rural areas, water might not be as clean. It might have particles in it. It's the same water you use to feed your livestock. And while it might be good for goats and cows, it might not be good for people. It's also good to have an extra supply in case there's a rainstorm and you're cut off and your water is contaminated. And so you really want clean water. Think about what goes in your body. It shouldn't be the water that you use with your cows and chickens.
That was good. That was really good. I don't know about everyone else, but I would definitely buy it. What about everyone else? If you were a farmer, would you buy it?
I think yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay, so I had the task.
Especially about chickens.
Yeah, about the chickens. Yeah, don't drink the same water as your cows and your chickens and your goats. Okay, so I needed to sell mine to a group of environmentalists. Okay. I'm going to challenge a popular assumption today. I know those many of you think that buying bottled water is horrible for the environment because how many of those bottles just go out and lay in the middle of a dump somewhere? Not ours. Our bottles are made from purely recycled plastic, so you can be assured that in that way these products are being reused and you're not doing something that's extremely bad for the environment. Also, one other thing that we sell is we sell our water in large jugs too, so that if you decide to, you could keep your bottle of water and buy a large jug, and then you could keep refilling your bottle of water if you really like your bottle. Otherwise, for those of you who don't want to refill your bottle, but yet you don't want to throw it away either, we have a website on which you can find lots of creative craft products, ways that you can reuse your bottles, or projects that you can do with your kids to make fun educational toys from your bottled water. Did you know that you can make a tornado in a bottle? You can make a tornado in the bottle using a couple of different household liquids and glitter. Children love this. So please, buy our water. It's good for your family. It's good for the environment, and your kids will benefit from it as well. Okay, how'd I do? You gonna buy it?
Yeah, I'll buy it.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. So I thought that was a fun activity. I hope you all enjoyed it. I think that's great. And getting us thinking about who our audience is and why it matters. Definitely very important. Okay, so for next week, as you know, the homework is begin writing your essays. Begin. Definitely write between 1 and 2 paragraphs. Between 1 and 2 paragraphs. You're going to want to have your introduction and a really solid, really good thesis statement. And you can begin the body of your essay, where you begin to prove your thesis statement. So please one or two paragraphs by next week, and make sure we have time to check them, please. So post them, again, 36 hours before class.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And if you don't have any,
Thank you, Carly.
Carly,
No problem.
thank
Have a nice
you.
day.
Thank you.
no problem.
Have a nice day.
Yeah,
Thank you, Peggy.
Sure. Have a good evening.
Have a nice day.
Y'all too.
thank you, everyone. Good night. See you next
Thank you.
week. Bye.
Goodbye. Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Peggy, do you think I should go ahead and do the class grading and the homework, and then put in the grades for the papers now?